So, welcome to Thursday on Friday. It's Friday morning because yesterday I recorded this, excuse me, I recorded this and I was really happy with the video and accidentally reformatted the card that it was on, so it was completely deleted. And so I hope that this video gets up before the next one for you guys, and I apologize for the lateness. But we have a really cool topic. I've actually been looking forward to this one since I saw what it was. And basically we are talking about the good old classic of why is there suffering? Why is there pain? Why is there suffering? The topic is listed below, or written in the box below, but I'm going to go ahead and read this to you, and there's three main parts to it. So the first is, oftentimes when I discuss religion with many people, I find that the reason that some people do not have any religious beliefs is because they feel that if there was a God, or goddess for that matter, then they would not allow such pain and hardship in the world. It is my understanding that much pain and suffering happen to increase spiritual growth. However, when I think about it, I realize that this could be brought to light a little bit more. Come to think of it, why do some people seem to have it easier than others? Although everyone has problems in life, there's just no denying that some people just have to deal with more than others. Some people work so hard and don't accomplish what they intend to or want, and then there are some people who seem to be successful at life with very little effort. I'm usually a good rationalizer, if that's a word, but I'm interested in hearing your opinions on these. So, this is a lot to cover, so I'm going to kind of do it in the three chunks. And the first, about people not believing in a god or a goddess. I'm actually kind of in that camp. I think that if there was this personified, this person who was this all-powerful, mighty deity, then why would they set up a world where stuff sucks so much? I mean, at the same time, it's actually quite incredible. But if there was a person behind it, they'd be, in my opinion, a pretty messed up person. So that doesn't really work for me on many of those reasons. And actually, I have some friends who are Christians who kind of have a similar view, and instead of seeing God as a person, as this parent figure, they see it as this force, this force of good that unites humans together. I talked about before, I don't believe in good, or evil or any of that. And actually I've met quite a few pagans and specifically Wiccans who share a very similar view to that for what they call goddess or God. But yeah, that's an experience that I have had as well. So the second part, actually, I said I was going to do it in 2 bits, but it's kind of a little bit like 3. The talks 3 is actually kind of like 2, excuse me. They write, it's their understanding that pain and suffering happen to increase spiritual growth. So I don't actually agree with that personally. Totally valid interpretation, of course. But I don't believe that things happen for a reason. In English, we often switch and are very vague about why, and how, right? But, so we often make those 2 words mean the same thing, but there's a tiny little nuance between the 2, right? Why is more of why did it happen? Why did she care? Not how did she care, right? She cared because of, chemicals that were reacting in her brain and blah, blah, blah. But why she cared because it was something important to her. I'm not being very clear about that. But basically, I don't really think that there is this preordained purpose. I don't believe in destiny. And so I don't think that something happens. Let's use the example of you're driving a truck, you pull out in front of a truck and it hits you, right? One could say, oh, that happened so that you learn to be more careful. I don't think it happened that way. I think it happened that you pulled out in front of a truck and didn't give it enough time to brake, so it hit you. Now you can choose to take the lesson from that you should be more observant and more careful, and all of that. But I don't think, see, it's that why is it happening? I think that you take meaning, we make up meaning, and great meaning, totally valid meaning, but we make it up and assign it to things, not the other way around. That's how I view the world. Don't have a problem if somebody else likes to view it a different way. And then the real meat of this one, I think, is about why do some people have it easier than others. And I think that there are two main huge factors to this. And that is, the first is luck. You know, what hand were you dealt? And the second is what you do with it. And I actually get really pissed off at, in my city there's a lot of people, sort of a new age mecca here, and they are, I don't even remember what it's called, there was a book about it, and basically if you want something bad enough, right, if you really want it, will draw it into your life. And people take that super seriously, and I get pissed off because I look at the people who are really, who are kind of the evangelizing it. They're these really entitled, independently wealthy people. And it's like, well, do you think that the thousands of children who die from starvation or from diarrhea, which is a huge cause of death in children, that they didn't want with all their might to not be sick or to not be hungry, or that they wanted these? No. Like, they wanted so badly. They tried to draw that in, and the luck of their birth and the situation of the world didn't allow for it. So part of it is luck. And I think that most people who, myself very much included, who are watching this video, because we have access to the internet, because this is something that we can do, we have this free time, we have the money to pay for the internet, to pay for the computer, to watch it. We are very, very lucky people, and we're born in the really lucky circumstances. Then there's a good period of our life where we don't have a lot of agency. You know, I have some nephews right now, which I have two different ones, different siblings, who are both under one, and they are completely at our mercy for everything. And they're being taught right now, their brains are being shaped, we're shaping their brains on how much they can trust and what happens. You know, they're learning about the world, and we're teaching them all of it. So look into where you were, how you were born, where you were born, what genes did you end up with? Because, you know, if you were born with Down syndrome, it doesn't matter how much you wish that you didn't have Down syndrome, you have Down syndrome. Maybe medically we'll be able to do something about that in the future, but that's not the reality right now. So anyways, that's happening. But at a certain point, we start making choices. But our choices are limited by what we were given from the luck part. And just a lot of what happens to us is luck. A lot of it we choose, and we put ourselves in situations, and we respond to situations and create our world like that. But some of it, I mean, there's just nothing that we can do about it. So you guys know I am a huge nerd, huge gamer, so I really like the analogy of people as being characters with stats, right? So if we were to talk about D&D, you're creating your character, there's certain things that you get because of your class traits, right? You know, you get a certain skills that you are able to do that you wouldn't if you weren't in that class. And you get whatever your species trait are. Are you a dwarf? Does that make you stronger but not as pretty? And you know, are you a half-orc, my favorite by the way, or an elf or whatever? You get certain pluses and minuses based on, that's the luck part, right? But then, depending on what you do, throughout life we stick points into our skills and we level up that way, right? I know this is totally nerdy, but this is really how I look at it. So you can have twins or siblings or just two different people, and they can have very similar circumstances that they were born with and make very different choices throughout. You know, this person's going to put a lot of points into self-discipline and into, you know, all of these things, and the person over here is going to put them in other places. And where we put our points really determines how we can respond to situations.